All right. Have you ever been invited to try something that you just immediately went, nope, nope, not me, nope, not going to do that? You ever felt that kind of resistance instantly with absolutely no reason? It's not like you tried lima beans once before and now you don't like them. You've never tried them. You just say no. Well, that's what our story's about today as we wrap up the science of mind, Dr. Seuss in the Science of Mind, with green eggs and ham. Now, it is said that Dr. Seuss wrote this story based on a bet with his publisher. His publisher came to him and he goes, "You can't write a story using only 50 different words. You just can't do it." Well, Dr. Seuss said, "Well, I think I can." He's a pretty smart guy. So he took him up on it and he wrote Green Eggs and Ham. So let's see how he did. So it opens up with, "I am Sam," riding in on something. And then he rides away, "I am Sam." And then he comes back, "Sam am I." That's Sam I am, that's Sam I am. I do not like that Sam I am. Do you like green eggs and ham? I do not like them, Sam I am. I do not like green eggs and ham. So, our little Sam is rather persistent, isn't he? And the other character, which has been lovingly dubbed the Grouch, because we don't have a name for him. He never gets a name in the story. We only know Sam's name. And the Grouch is very resistant to this idea of green eggs and ham, isn't he? "No, I don't like them. I don't like them." And he doesn't like Sam either. So we know a few things about him, don't we? We don't know anything about the backstory of what's going on here because with only 50 words, Dr. Seuss didn't have a lot of leeway on writing a backstory for us. So we have to make some assumptions. And one of the questions, of course, is green eggs and ham the normal way it's served in Seussville? Are they supposed to be like they are here? Pink ham, red, white and yellow eggs, or green all across the board? And then the Sam, he appears in the pictures as a youth, but we don't know that, do we? And the Grouch appears a little more like an older adult, but again, we don't know that because we don't have any backstory here. So we're making some assumptions about human nature and human responses to things. And we hear in this opening passage again and again, "I do not like green eggs and ham." And I don't like Sam. I don't like Sam. Like I say, Sam is pretty persistent. That's the whole basis of the story. And throughout the story, Sam comes back to the Grouch 13 times and asks him in 13 different ways, "Do you like green eggs and ham?" About all sorts of different locations and ways to have them and all that sort of stuff. And the Grouch continues to say no. And he continues to say no, and the story is interesting that way because Sam is going through it bit by bit, and then the Grouch comes back at the end and he says, "I could not, would not, on a boat. I will not with a goat. I will not eat them in the rain. I will not eat them on a train. Not in the dark, not in a tree, not in a car. You let me be. I do not like them in a box. I do not like them with a fox. I will not eat them in a house. I do not like them with a mouse. I do not like them here or there. I don't like them anywhere. I don't like them anywhere." So he's pretty adamant, isn't he? Have you ever felt that adamantly resistant to something? There's a body language, isn't there? There's even this hands up, protecting, push back. I've got a slide of some photographs of people in resistance that really demonstrate, it's the arrogance with the turning away of the head, it's the no, running away, and all these different looks. I mean, they all communicate something with that body language in addition to resistance, don't they? So it's a kind of a universal thing, this idea of resistance. So have you ever had things show up in your life multiple times? Something just pop in and then it's like, gosh, that's the second time that person, that idea, that thing, that thought has come. Well, I don't know about you, but if it comes a second time, I kind of pay attention. Third time, I'm all over it. What's this? Remember the book we did, God Winks? That was all about the way the universe communicates in the serendipitous ways and coincidences and things that happen. So if it's 3 times, I'm paying attention. I'm thinking, okay, this might be some sort of a hint that I need to pay attention to here. But 13 times? 13 times. I think our Grouch is a little grumpy. What do you think? So what if Sam, in our story, I am Sam, Sam am I, what if he represents God and the universe? If you remember the Bible story of Moses on the mountain, and he's talking to God, and he says to presence, what's your name? And the response is, I am. I am. And here we have Sam, I am Sam. So kind of an interesting analysis on that thinking, but yet Grouch is continuing to push it away, isn't he? He's continuing to resist. And what if this whole green eggs and ham thing is life transforming for him? Answer to prayers for him. It's just packaged in maybe some way that he's not used to seeing it. You ever have that happen? Something shows up in your life and it doesn't look exactly the way you're expecting it to look, and then it's like, oh, well, maybe this is the right thing. Right? Yeah. So that could be what's happening here. I've been having this mantra come through my head recently, and it sort of started with our last book that we did in book study, The Divine Intelligence. But it's, if I want to experience something different in my life, I must be someone different than I've ever been before. Does that make sense? Yeah, because the person that I've been to this point, who's been having the experiences of life that I've been having, has a certain belief system, a certain thought process, a certain way of being in the world. And if I want anything different than that, I have to make some changes, some choices, some new decisions, right, around how I'm going to show up and be. And we teach in the Science of Mind that we first must become that which we seek to experience in our life. We have to become it first. And this speaks to our creative process, I think, where we talk about planting the seed of our desire into the universal substance, into the universal law. And this speaks to that we have to plant that new seed and that universal substance. Einstein, is that his name? Yes, Einstein, had a couple of quotes. One is, no problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. You ever heard that? Doesn't that make sense? No problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. He goes on to say that we cannot do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. Anybody ever banged your head against the wall, hoping, what do they call that? Definition of crazy, don't they? Doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result? Right. So we've got to make those adjustments in our life if we want to experience something different from what we've always been experiencing in our life to this point. So our common theme, our common message here is this whole idea of making those changes, making different choices. And like we say around here, living from the inside out, right? Living from the inside out. So if I'm seeking more prosperity in my life, and I plant my seed of prosperity, I can't be over here complaining about it's not here, can I? I can't be over here noticing lack, lack, lack. Where is it, where is it, where is it? I have to be here living as prosperity. And I'm not saying go max out your credit cards and pretend like you're, renting a jet plane and all that kind of stuff. I'm saying just have that awareness of prosperity. If you're trying to manifest a Ferrari, act like you own a Ferrari. You don't have to own it yet, but you can act like it. You can feel what would it feel like if I did that, which raises our vibration into that vibration of prosperity that we say we want. If we're manifesting love, same thing, right? If we're attracting friends, we have to be that energy. We have to be that place of friendship. We have to be that place so that we're open and receptive and attracting it to us. That's kind of how this stuff works. We must first become what we seek. And I think that our personal growth. As I was going through this week, it really came home to me that our own personal growth is very much the universal creative process. Ernest Holmes tells us that we are the micro and the macro of God, and it's the same process within us. We have to change our thoughts about something in order to experience them differently outside of us. So when we begin to shift our consciousness about something, change our ideas about something, then we can begin to see that manifest in form around us. Because remember, we always use my music stand. We talk about how it was somebody's idea before it was ever manufactured and made in form. And the same is true with all of our creative process with us, even with our personal growth. We change on the inside before we ever experience it on the outside. Yeah. So this whole idea of growth with our little Grinch, in his mind, what's our Grinch? Our Grouch. He is saying no, 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 right? No ham and eggs. No to green ham and eggs. No, no, no. And no to Sam. I don't like Sam and I'm not doing it any place you've tried to get me to do it. Well, he suddenly has a new idea. I don't want the green eggs and ham. I don't want this guy on my back anymore, right? So he's got some desires going on. So how can I get out of this situation? Well, he has to come up with an idea, and the divine idea that came through him was, I'll make a deal. I'll make a deal. And so the deal that he made was, Sam, if you will let me be, I will try these. You will see. So he's negotiating, isn't he? If you'll let me be, I'll try them. But you got to let me be, because he doesn't want any part of either one of those, right? So he had to first accept that idea of the possibility of that being a solution, didn't he? He had to have the thought, and then he had to accept that thought as a possibility, and then he took action on it and stepped into it courageously, like we talked last week, stepped into it and made the offer. He made the offer to Sam. So what sometimes happens with us in our creative process when we're doing this, when we're talking about our prosperity and hanging out over here in lack? Well, what happens is we start looking for that which we've planted. We're digging up the seeds, aren't we? Anybody ever planted a garden? Gone out and dug up some seeds to see if they're growing yet? That's what's cool about little glass containers. At least you can kind of see through them sometimes and see if there's anything growing in there. Because we know we can't dig up the seed, right? We disturb the entire process if we do that. And the same is true with us. We can't be over here looking at lack, consider that digging up the seeds. We've got to stay over here in our prosperity and just trust the process. Know that once we've planted the idea in mind, it's already done. We just have to match that vibration for it to be delivered to us. Just have to match the vibration. So again, no problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness. Are we creatures of habit? Anybody else a creature of habit? Nobody's admitting this. Come on, we're all creatures of habit, right? Sometimes we think that we can come up with the solutions based on our same old beliefs, our same old ideas, our same old set of tools in our toolbox. I can fix that problem. I'll just talk louder, hit it harder, move over, right? We think we can do that, more energy at it, as opposed to shifting from the inside out. Do you remember the Bible saying, one of Jesus' sayings? He said, unless you change and become like little children, you shall not enter the kingdom of heaven. Remember that? Become as little children? Well, he says this in response to a question that we usually don't hear. And the question is, who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? Now, that seems like an odd question for his disciples to ask him, doesn't it? Because he was teaching what? God is within, heaven is within. But here are his very disciples going, who's the greatest in heaven? So I always think Jesus has really a cool personality. He goes, hey, unless you change and become like little children, you're not even going to get in there to find out. It's just not going to happen. You got to change. I'm telling you, you're not listening to me, you got to change. So what do you think he meant by that? What do you think he meant by that? And why would something like that get recorded for all these eons of generations? What do you think he meant? Well, I think he meant that it's living in the moment living in that complete and total trust that we are of the presence provided for. Think about little kids. Little kids. If they're hungry, they trust somebody's going to give them something to eat. Somebody's going to feed them. They might go to sleep in their food. They don't care, right? They just take a nap. Yeah. So little kids, when we're first born, infants, 1,000% dependent upon the adults around them, right? They can't walk, they can't talk, they can't feed themselves, they can't change their own diapers, they can't even roll over. Completely dependent and trusting. Imagine trusting God, Spirit, your source, the universe, to have your back at that level today. Wow, how could our lives be different, right? If we trusted that. If we trusted that. So how did our grouch become as a child? Or did he? What happened here? Well, remember, he gave us that whole big old speech, right, about not doing it anywhere. And then he said, okay, I'll make a deal with you. If you let me be, I'll try them. You will see. Remember that? All right. So now he tries them. And he says, say, I like green eggs and ham. I do. I like them, Sam, I am. And I would eat them in a boat. And I would eat them with a goat. I will eat them in the rain and in the dark and on a train and in a car and in a tree. They are so good, you see. I'll eat them in a box. I'll eat them with a fox. I will eat them in a house. I will eat them with a mouse. And I will eat them here and there. Say, I'll eat them anywhere. I do so like green eggs and ham. Thank you, Sam, I am. And I love this last picture because he's expanded here, hasn't he? He's expanded here. Thank you, Sam, I am. He's grateful. He's grateful. And instead of pushing away Sam and resisting, what's he doing? He's got a friend. He's expanded his circle of friends now to include Sam. He's expanded his culinary choices to include green eggs and ham. So he's expanded his life to include more. And Ernest Holmes, the founder of our teaching, also the author of The Science of Mind, he tells us that the mind, which condemns, understands not the truth of being. And the heart, which would shut its door to one who is mistaken, strangles its own life, closing its eyes to a greater vision. The biggest life is the one which includes the most. Open and receptive as opposed to that idea of rejecting. And this story demonstrates that principle very well, doesn't it? Now, Holmes wrote this before Seuss, but, they go along together. So did Seuss read Holmes or anyway? So how much life are you allowing to express through you today? Are you open and receptive to allowing life to flow? Are you trusting presence? Are you trusting your source? Are we doing some of that resistance like those other pictures that we saw? Saying no. Saying no. Well, let's move into our practicing the principles this morning and see how we might be able to include more in our life this week. So our first one is, if I want something different, I must be different. We talked about that. I cannot bring into my life prosperity while I am complaining about and focusing my energy on lack. It just doesn't work that way. We must first become and embody that which it is. If we want love, if we want prosperity, if we want a better career, we can't sit and complain about the one we're in, right? We've got to find something to love about what we're doing now in order to be able to expand and grow into that higher vibration of what it is we want to do. So it's all this whole energy balance thing for us, isn't it? About aligning ourselves and becoming that which we seek. Number 2, become as little children. Do you remember that commercial back in 60s, 70s, I don't remember, Life cereal? Mom gives the 2 little boys a bowl of Life cereal, and they go, I'm not going to eat it. It's supposed to be good for you. I'm not going to eat it. Let's give it to Mikey. He hates everything. He likes it. Mikey likes it, right? So become as little children. Experiment. Trust. Try new things. You can always say, that's not for me, right? That's not for me. But what if, like our friend Sam and Grouch, it is? It provides more. It expands your life. And number 3, include more. The biggest life is the one which includes the most. More love, more peace, more kindness, more joy, more people. More people. Open to receive, open to give, that circle, that wheel of circulation in our lives. It's not just in our financial good, is it? Circulation is in everything. Circulating our love and our friendship, circulating our thoughts and our ideas. It's almost like we're on this big, giant wheel that we're all on, and we all get to participate in until somebody puts a stick in it and stops it, and everybody gets jostled. It's just nice circulation, nice circulation. So it doesn't mean, this idea of including more, it doesn't mean that we have to agree with everybody else on the planet, because we're all individualized and unique expressions of the divine, aren't we? Here to be individuals, here to have our own opinions and our own ideas and thoughts and express those. But it doesn't mean we have to resist them. We can allow, we can negotiate, we can collaborate. But allowing as opposed to resisting. Because resistance does what? Resistance sets up that idea of struggle, doesn't it? And I think we can see across our planet today, globally, nationally, locally, resistance doesn't solve anything. We can't find solution at the level of resistance because that's struggle. We can't solve problems at the level they were created at. We can't solve problems at the level of struggle. We have to open and look for that divine idea and look for how we can figure out a way to make this work peacefully for all. Peacefully for all. But struggle is not the answer to doing it. So I want to close out our Dr. Seuss and the Science of Mind series this month with where we started, with a quote from Oh, the Places You'll Go. Today you are you. That is truer than true. There is no one alive who is youer than you. You have brains in your head. You have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. The more that you read, the more things you will know. And the more that you learn, the more places you'll go. And so it is. And I thank you all for being here this month as we've played and explored this series with Dr. Seuss and Ernest Holmes and the Science of Mind, and allowing us to have a little fun and levity throughout the summer months as we deal with our heat here in Arizona. So I appreciate you being here with me, and I would invite you now to join me as we go in prayer and speak our affirmative prayer this morning. So how good it is that we do and can come together here each and every Sunday morning in celebration of this thing called life, as we recognize that there is only one power, presence, spirit, source, love in the universe, and that is God. It is that which is the source of all. It is the infinite creativity, is intelligence and wisdom. It is all of those things that we call love, peace, harmony, and balance. And all of it is here now, present in this room. It is in, through, and as me is an expression of it, as it is in, through, and as each one in this room. For we are all unique emanations of it, divinely sourced, of that power and that presence that creates worlds and universes. And how blessed we are to be in this moment, this place, this time, together in this room. So from that place of awareness, I speak my word for and about each one of us this day, recognizing the wholeness and the perfection of life expressing through us and as us. Knowing that whatever may be on our hearts this day, as we lift that into this affirmative prayer, that it is healed, made whole, clarity revealed, whatever the need, it is fulfilled in this moment. For we know that the word spoken is the word made manifest. So I am just so very grateful for the manifestation of this prayer. So grateful for life itself expressing. And it is from this place of joy and gratitude and thanksgiving that I just release this into that activity of law, knowing that it is done, it is so, and we lovingly release it by proclaiming together, and so it is.